Hey guys, Alpha Seagull here. This video was originally going to be much longer, but every time I recorded the audio for it, I never uploaded due to the creator's curse, which only worsened when my video started getting monetized. So before I change my mind, we're going to go real quick and try to be as thorough as possible. Buffs are crazy strong, especially in PvE, which is going to be our main focus today. If you stack enough of them, literally any form of damage can be insanely strong. Some setups can one-shot late-game bosses at level 1. These things are no joke, I'm serious. Someone just passed 1 million damage in this game. It only works on one enemy, but still. If your build does not have buffs, you're not some alpha gamer, okay? You're just choosing objectively the wrong way to build your character. That's not impressive. I too can play the game with a steering wheel. Play how you want, but stop trying to justify your poor choices to strangers on the internet. To clarify, when I say buffs, I don't just mean the stuff you cast. I mean talismans, weapon attributes, pretty much anything that gives you some kind of effect that isn't already in the stats. All of it counts. Most buffs are also very easy to use and have little to no stat requirements, therefore work for any build. Sure, most buffs are temporary, but if your buffs last 20 seconds and the boss fight lasts 10, how temporary is it really? You might be wondering then, what's the weakness? What's the drawback? Why isn't everyone using these? And well, it's because they're confusing. Not all buffs stack with each other, and that's what we're going to be learning about today. Let's keep it short and simple. I'm not going to go crazy listing a bunch of specific builds. You can figure that out yourself. You're pretty smart. But I will teach you what stacks and what doesn't. And then I'm going to show you a personal example of my build that I currently use in New Game Plus 7. So let's get started. There are 4 different types of buffs. Body buffs, which usually just apply to yourself. Aura buffs, which always apply to yourself and your allies. Weapon buffs, which apply directly to the weapon itself. And special buffs, which do literally everything else. At any given time, you can have 1 body buff, 1 aura buff, 1 weapon buff for each weapon in your hand, meaning a maximum of 2, and then as many special buffs as you can possibly fit in your loadout. Now, I did give you general rules on what kinds of buffs fall into each category, but that's simply not good enough. There's several exceptions. There's a bunch of weird ones, like did you know Uplifting Aromatic actually gives a 10% damage buff as an aura buff, but the bubble that blocks 90% damage for one hit actually counts as a special buff, meaning you can stack it with Opaline Bubble Tier, which has the same effect and is also a special buff, to get 99% negation. And then you can rewrite the 10% aura buff with a stronger one and still keep the bubble? Crazy, right? The more you know. Anyways, you get the idea. Buffs are confusing. The only real way to know what buff falls into what type is to test each and every one. Or, you know, I can do it for you. Here it is. Every single buff category in the game in the form of 4 easy to follow images, with every single buff listed. You don't have to bother pausing. I have 4K links in the description below. Keep in mind, I tested this information during 1.04 because it's been that long since I've been trying to make this video. So be warned that some info may be a little outdated if there was some secret balance change, and I have no idea what it is, if anything. So take what you're looking at with a bit of a grain of salt. But at least with these, you know what to stack and what not to stack. So a hypothetical scenario. You're laying in the dark, alone with your thoughts. Hey, you ask yourself, I wonder if I can put Black Flame Protection in my build. You look on the image, boom, that's a body buff. Boom, you're already using Blood Boil Aromatic, so you gotta pick one of them. You can't have both. Back to the darkness with you. So that's pretty much it for the general guide, but let's show you my personal example. This is my Twin Blade Mario build for New Game Plus 7. I'm not gonna pretend it's original because it's not. Similar builds are all over PvP right now. Now, I didn't actively get this idea from anyone else. I kind of just did the math. I tried to go for something consistent, and this is what I got. But that said, that doesn't really make it original, because plenty of people have done something like this already. So first, you want to start off with any 2 twin blades. They're all pretty much the same, just different requirements, very small differences in damage. My recommendation is Gargoyle Twin Blades, because 1, they have the best damage when you're max level, and 2, they're still usable in my level 1 version of this build, which yes, there is a level 1 version. For these twin blades, you want the left one with Seppuku and the Blood Affinity, and then the right one with Chilling Mist and the Cold Affinity. Next up, you want Commander Standard for your second slot, because Rallying Standard is generally the strongest aura buff. For armor, you'll want the White Mask and the Raptor's Black Feathers. If you're on a high level build, You can put the bull goat armor in the other 2 slots, otherwise you can leave them empty for all I care. For your talismans, you want the Claw Talisman, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, and Millicent's Prosthesis. The necessary items for this build are going to be your Wondrous Physic, and then either Boiled Crabs or Blood Boil Aromatics. Boiled Crabs are a little bit more viable overall for the negation it gives you, but Blood Boil has higher damage potential, which is better for some fights. If you're level 1, the bulk isn't really going to help you much, so you'll want to go Blood Boil every time. As for your Wondrous Physic, you'll want the Thorny Crack tier, and depending on whether you're level 1 or not, you'll either need the Strength Knot tier or the Leaden Hard tier. The reason for this is because the Gargoyle's Twin Blade requires 18 strength to use. So if you don't have at least 8 points in strength, you'll want to go with the Strength Knot tier. Otherwise, the extra poise from the Leaden Hard tier helps you stay on the aggressive, which helps a lot for this build. So after you have all this, you'll want to do the following at the Fog Wall in order. Drink your Physic, pop your consumable of choice, 2-hand your left weapon and cast Seppuku, swap the right hand to cast Rallying Standard, and then swap the right hand again to cast Chilling Mist, and then you can finally walk through. If you're using the level 1 build, you actually want to swap the order of the Rallying Standard and Seppuku, since you have to 2-hand the Commander Standard in order to wield it when you have less than 24 strength. And then in a boss fight, all you have to do is spam jumping L1s as aggressively as possible, which with dual Twin Blades counts as 6 separate hits, which is the entire reason why we're using Twin Blades in the first place. Once you've gotten enough hits to land Frostbite, you're at your peak damage output. So if you went with the defensive option, you're getting a grand total of 209% more damage, as well as 36% physical negation, which is effectively equivalent to a 56% health buff. So statistically speaking overall, you're 4.8 times stronger than you were with the Twin Blades alone. And who says levels are what carry you through the game? And I made this build to prioritize consistency over potency. I mean, most of the buffs in this setup get refreshed automatically just by fighting. You're not racing the clock or relying on boss RNG. You're just playing the game normally, dodging whenever you can, and that's all you need to destroy everything in your path. Oh, I almost forgot. This build does bleed in frost damage too. Silly me, I almost forgot about the 2 most overpowered statuses in the game, which, for a build like this, just feels like extra credit. Anyways, I hope you had fun trivializing the game by watching this video. I know I did. Be sure to like and subscribe, ring the bell, I've got tons more content on the way, assuming I ever finish it. See you then.